course. This is Living My Alaska. My name is Bennett. Wanted to show you the inside of the Earth Cruiser, and after we're done with the inside, we'll take you for a full tour of the outside. I'm going to show you each and every part of this machine and how it works with us and sometimes against us, what we love and don't love about this machine, this expedition truck, this overlander, if you will. And we've got a few things to do inside. And as I was getting ready for the live stream outside earlier, these two folks pulled up right in front of me, got out, started picking berries. You've got all of Alaska to pick berries, and they chose right there. It's just kind of something that happens, to my frustration, here in Alaska in the summertime. People don't seem to want to respect each other's space. I guess folks that live in big cities don't see space like, or value space like folks in Alaska do. I wouldn't dare roll up on somebody that's parked by himself enjoying the scenery and just get out and start just doing whatever you want right in somebody's face. I guess that's neither here nor there. We need to talk about the Earth Cruiser. You're not here to hear me complain about tourists in the summer in Alaska. This is an expedition truck called an Earth Cruiser. It's built in Bend, Oregon. And the inside of this thing is built like a boat. As you can see, there's no wood in here. It's stainless steel, aluminum, hard fiber top. This is like a plastic material. And locking drawers, stainless steel refrigerator, analog gauges across this thing. Check out that is the control panel right there. And I'll show you more of that later. What I wanted to do is try to paint a picture of the design philosophy behind the inside of this rig. And then after I'm done in here, we'll talk about the philosophy on the outside. But the design philosophy on the inside of this thing was built to go around the world with as little expense and as fuss as possible, with as little maintenance as possible. And so that means a few compromises here and there. But mostly it's fantastic, and I love it for Alaska. I think it's a brilliant design. There's no holes in the ceiling. It's like a fiberglass composite construction, and that means it's one piece, I think, in this unit. But what's more importantly, there's no holes in this ceiling. There's no ceiling fan. There's no skylights that you see in luxury RVs, or luxury of RVs posing as overlanding vehicles. Looking at you, storyteller. Skylights do one thing in an overlanding rig like this: they leak. So just a caution for you, anybody that's looking at one of these or something like it, pay attention to how many holes are in your ceiling, because every one of those is an opportunity for a leak. And especially in the extreme conditions like Alaska, that's not something you want or need. So here's the inside. One of the things I want to do right now is one of my favorite things is peppermint tea. It's good for the belly. It's good for my gut, which I seem to constantly have problems with. And one of the best things I've purchased since I started RVing is an electric tea kettle. This water right here, this is drinking water. It's filtered underneath in one of the storage bays, and it allows me to get safe drinking water out of my potable water. We have a 40-gallon potable water tank in here, and I have confidence, every confidence, that water is safe to drink because it comes out of the drinking water filter. The other water's faucet right here is not for drinking water. This is straight out of the tap from the tanks, which, by the way, I pump clean water into those tanks from La Hose somewhere. I'm still very careful what I pump in there, but that doesn't mean I want to drink it. Smart. This is how this works. There's an outlet right there, and we'll let this heat up. Try to bend this camera a little bit down. I'll show you. There's a little teapot right there. We'll let that cook for a little bit, and I'll talk about the other parts of this rig that we love so much. Now you can see my control panel right here. Notice all of these switches. There's no big screens. There's no fancy touch screens right here or anything like that. It's all analog gauged, and I really think that's a very smart idea. They did that. They did that because those big touch screens tend to burn out. Those big touch screens tend to cause problems later on. And so this way, if you have something that goes wrong, it's all on a separate switch. If you lose your refrigerator, that doesn't mean you'll lose your toilet and your fans and your air conditioner and everything else on the board. So everything has its own switch. If a fuse blows, you pull that out and you replace it. The other things along this control panel is this is the where it tells me my water. And this is the Webasto air and water heater right here. It's a combination water heater and air heater unit. That's not my favorite. I believe in a rig like this, there should be separate units, for one for water, hot water, and one for hot air. So the problem is when one goes down, in this unit, they both go down. And that's exactly what happened to me recently, where I lost, something went wrong and the computer shut off the system. And that means I had to send that big heavy unit back to a Webasto certified repair center to get things replaced. It cost me $1,200 in shipping plus the repair bill. Adventure truck, an expedition truck, you want separate systems. You want a hot water heater and you want a hot air heater. Negative 30 outside. In a place like Alaska where it's going to be negative 30 outside, I'd love to install a second heater in this thing. The heater is diesel burning, by the way. It operates on electricity, but it draws a very small amount of electricity. Its primary heat source is diesel, and it works really well. I'm quite pleased with it. Right here is our battery monitor. It tells us how much battery we have. This is the Victron energy control panel. If you're curious, we have, I believe it's 450 amp hours of lithium phosphate power in here at 12 volts. I'd like that to be more. I think really it does need to be more. I think we should have at least twice that. I'd like to go at least 3 days off grid without needing to run a generator or plug in anywhere to recharge. And right now I think I can go 2 at the most, running the Starlink 24/7, plus the refrigerator, plus a few lights here and there, plus the microwave. The microwave and this thing is the biggest energy suck, and I think the Starlink probably draws quite a bit. It's not a Starlink Mini. It's a big unit for maximum performance out here, but it draws a bit of electricity. So it would be so I'll be looking to try to expand the Victron energy system with more batteries. Right here is our cooktop. Something interesting about this cooktop is made by Webasto. It is diesel fired. So when you want to cook something in here, you're not going to draw a bunch of energy from your batteries. You'll just use diesel. And I guess that's okay. There's a couple problems with cooking in a rig like this. The main problem is it stinks up the place. When you're cooking something here, let's assume you're frying bacon, everything around you is going to start to smell like bacon. So we rarely cook inside this unit because I don't want everything around me to smell like bacon. If it were my choice, this Webasto diesel powered cooktop would not be in here. I would just have a separate electric induction cooktop that I could move outside when I wanted. By the way, if you're just joining us, my name is Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. I'm so glad you're here. We're talking about my new expedition truck. This is an earth cruiser, and I'm giving you a full tour of the inside, sharing with you the ins and outs and the details of everything I love and don't love. And then after that, we'll go on the outside, and we'll go through the outside as well. Right now, I'm boiling water in the electric tea kettle for some peppermint tea. This is the refrigerator down here. I'll cock this camera down for you. It's a nice refrigerator. It's high quality, made by IsoTherm. The problem is it's all fridge. And what I don't like about that is I wish we had, let's see if I can move this around. Like this. That should help. This entire thing is a refrigerator, and I don't really care for that. I'd rather if this was half freezer and half refrigerator. The honest truth is, when we're camping like this, we need frozen goods more than we need fresh goods. I want to stay off grid for a while, and we got boiling water here. Let's make our tea in our Yeti cup. So as I was saying, my problem with it is we need more freezer storage space in here and a little less refrigerator space. What I end up doing is I end up having to just keep freeze-dried goods and canned goods in here, and things like luncheon meat and pre-prepared meals is mostly what I keep in here. And I don't usually cook inside the rig ever because I don't like the smell in here. Okay, let's lift this back up for you guys. This is a live stream, folks. This is not edited, and that means it's a little bit, Imperfect, but it's a lot real. By the way, there's the kind folks who decided to invade my space this morning and pick the berries right outside my door. Lovely. Really appreciate that. All of Alaska, they chose where I'm parked by myself to roll up on me and by the way, I was filming earlier when they rolled up and they just completely ignored the fact that I'm standing here talking to a camera. Oh, I love it. A little bit further back, there is a trash can here. Let me show you the problem with the trash can that Earth Cruiser built into this thing. You see that? There's a hole right there. That means whatever is behind this trash can lid, the smells get out. And so that means mostly we just use it for paper products. But garbage is garbage. Garbage smells. And essentially what I need to do is, I mean, I know why they did this. They did this so you can grab it and pull the lid off. But what we really need is something that's covered right here and then just something else we can pull to grab onto. So I built in a different trash can. Here's our new trash can right there. It's called a rig strips, and there's a couple of reasons I really like it. Mainly, it has a lid. You just lift it off right there, and it comes off the wall. Takes normal size trash bags. The back of the Earth Cruiser looks like this. You're probably wondering, what are all those bags across the back of this thing? And I'll tell you why. So one of the design philosophies behind the Earth Cruiser is the fact that they wanted to build as lower to the center of gravity as possible. And that means nothing high up, nothing on the roof that's going to make the thing do this. If you drive normal RVs over time, you're going to discover how much they do this when you go down the road, especially around corners or if you hit bumps. The whole thing sways. That's because they're overloaded up high. Earth Cruiser built this thing to go around the world and through some really rugged environments. And so they kept everything up here light, and the lower and centered center of gravity is right here and low. Well, that means I've got no storage across the top. And so I have to use these bags. This is where I keep my soft goods, my clothes, my blankets, my socks, and stuff like that. I put some cheap sticky hooks along that back metal I-beam. And if I don't like it, I can easily pull those sticky hooks off without damaging the interior of this rig. And so that's what those are across the back. Here's our bed. I've been using a cheap sleeping bag from Sportsman's Warehouse. I don't think it's going to last very long. You can already see it starting to fray. I've owned it for a little over a week, and I've never washed it yet. I imagine as soon as I put that thing through a washing machine, it's going to come apart pretty quickly. I was hoping I could wrap myself up in a sleeping bag, and I don't need a whole bunch of blankets and a whole bunch of mess and everything else. And I've discovered I'm just using that as a quilt. So it's back to just, what my wife said in the beginning, which is just use quilts instead. She was right, which she always is. Fan on the roof, windows across the back, little lights for reading at night. This is the top end of the air conditioner. It's called an Arctic Breeze. The rest of the unit is underneath. What's special about this unit is that it runs on 12-volt power. The unfortunate thing about the unit is it's grossly inadequate for a real heat of the South. When we bought this thing in Alabama and tried to sleep at night, this definitely did not keep us cool. And that's just unacceptable. So we have to look into that. This is what Earth Cruiser built for technically a wardrobe. This is where normally you would fold up clothes and keep them. But we've discovered that I needed more space for food, and so that's where I'm keeping my snacks. If you're wondering what's down here, this is a trapdoor. Behind that trapdoor is storage compartments. This is where I keep my dirty laundry. This is where we keep some extra supplies like shoes. The drawers on this thing are pretty smart. There's not really many moving parts, as you can see. Here's my utensil drawer. It's made out of this hard plastic like an ABS. Really smart. Let's take you to the other end of the rig. Microwave behind us runs on the inverter, and that does a pretty good job. It's what we use most. I don't really like to cook in here. I like using pre-cooked meals and like sandwiches and soups warmed up from a can. And that microwave does it for the most part. Right here to my left is my shower. The philosophy behind the shower is, why would you build a shower that takes up 30% of your space in a rig like this, but you only use it like a small percentage of the time? And I don't know if you've noticed, most people in camper vans don't use their showers. Their showers end up being a storage closet, and that gets annoying. And so Earth Cruiser was pretty smart about it. They built a shower that is right into the doorway. There it is. There's the shower, right? Here's your shower head and your little sink right there. The shower door is right here if you need it. And if you wanted a view while you shower, you could easily open up that door and see that view while you shower or do other business like the toilet. The toilet is of cassette style. That's what it looks like right there. It's what happens is, this is your flush right there and the water's there. It's pretty basic, but I can tell you the truth about this shower. The truth about this shower is, we never use it. The problem with the shower in a rig like this is the shower pan stays wet. I'm trying to set up this stand so it doesn't fall over while we talk. This is live. This is the magic of live on YouTube, right? You know this isn't AI with all the mistakes I'm making, and that's perfectly fine, right? So the problem with a shower in a unit like this is it's usually never used. If you shower in here, you're going to steam up this entire place, and it's going to smell like you just took a shower in here for hours later. The other problem is the water consumption. And with a shower in an RV, you consume a lot of water in a situation where you don't have that much. The biggest problem I have is the floor drain. So under this shower pan is a floor drain, and it collects water under there. And there's a drain in there, and most of it drains out, but you still have this film across the bottom, and that film doesn't drain out. So you've got soap scum, whatever you've washed off your body, and the residue in there. And so each and every time you take a shower in this unit, you have to pull up the floor drain grate and then wipe and clean and dry everything under there. Otherwise, you get a musty, wet smell from this thing. So basically, I never use the shower at all. I would be perfectly fine if this was not in here, but it serves another purpose, and probably a more valuable one. Do you see all my towels hanging here? The towels are hanging everywhere, because this is a fantastic place to hang wet and dirty items, to drip dry. It basically serves as a mud room. And that's a more valuable use of this space. There is a floor vent down here that blows hot air directly into this space. So anything you hang in this wet shower space circulates up, and it gets dry pretty quick. And that's why we use it. We don't use it for a shower. What else would you like to see in this Earth Cruiser? How about if I show you the front? Right there is the pass-through. That is the pass-through where you can crawl into the cab, and then from the cab you can crawl back in here. I'm too big to crawl through that. My wife crawls through there quite well, and she does just fine. Dawn likes it mostly for when we're traveling, where she can crawl in here and use the toilet or make a sandwich or anything in between. And so that's the use of the pass-through. And I can tell you, I think it's more of a safety situation than anything else. The valuable thing about having a pass-through is in the middle of the night, if you park somewhere sketchy, like on a like at a truck stop, and there's some shenanigans happening outside, you can quickly crawl out of that bed through this pass-through and crank up and get out of here before anything happens to you. And the fact that you don't have to go outside, so they don't have access to you. This is our dinner table here. This is where we sit. I do a lot of work. This is where I do most of my YouTube editing, up front right here. This table swivels around. I think I can swivel it. I think I've got it loose where I can swivel it for you. You can move it around. I think my seat's in the way there, but this table will swivel out. It'll shove over there. It'll shove in this corner here. And it's quite comfortable to sit here and pretty cozy. I can tell you one thing about this rig that I really like, and I find it to be extremely cozy and comfortable to sit around and just hang out in. I never have to bump my head. The previous rig we had was a Sportsmobile, and it was on the 4350 chassis, and I was too tall, and I was always bumping my head. This is the biggest, and it's my observation, this is probably the biggest habitat you're going to find in an overlanding expedition truck type of a rig on such a small platform. They certainly get bigger than this, but you won't get smaller than this and have as much room as you have in here. And I think that's my favorite part of this unit. You can see up here I have a bunch of more of these Thule bags that we keep our clothing and stuff like that in. The windows operate like this. That's your bug screen. The Dometic acrylic is pretty high quality, like that. And then if you want privacy or if you want blackout, that's what happens there. The back of this right here is a reflective material like tin foil. It pushes out the heat, which is really great. One of the complaints I have is the clickers get weak on these things and they don't always stay open. The other thing I'll tell you is about this window here. On the way home from Alabama, we were going through Banff, Canada, and I made one mistake and I forgot to lock this window down. And about an hour into our ride, this window was gone. It cost me more than $900 to replace that window because it's out of service, they don't build it anymore. I had to find one of these windows in Germany. $250 for the window, $500 for shipping. Very frustrating. This is where we sit. The Victron energy system is under here. It's very high quality. Victron has a fantastic name for itself. Under here is the Webasto water heater and the air heater. Over here is where I successfully keep most of my stuff for YouTube and recording devices. I have a whole bunch of outlets right here, and that's how I record and keep things powered. One of the biggest challenges is keeping things powered up and as you're rolling like this. And so that's how that works. That little bag right there is most useful to me. That's where I keep just about everything. And of course right there, that's my bear spray. If you were to build a rig like this, what would you do differently? Leave me a comment. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the build. What does it look like to you? Does it look like a quality build? Does it look like a logical design? What would you do differently? Let's talk about some of the things that I like about this rig and some of the things I don't. Let's talk about the habitat. The inside of this rig is, maybe I shouldn't call it a rig, right? This is the expedition truck, the Earth Cruiser. The interior, the habitat of this Earth Cruiser is one of the best I've seen. We've owned 4 RVs now. This is our 4th RV. First was a Class A diesel pusher, 45 feet long. That was a terrible idea. I hated that thing. The second was a Coachman Galleria, 24 feet long camper van, dually built on the Mercedes Sprinter van. It was a joy to drive, but not, it was 4-wheel drive, but not built well enough to handle Alaskan's roads and Alaska's extreme environment. So we sold it before, it was too nice of a rig. And so we sold it before we destroyed it. The third one was the Sportsmobile on the E350 Ford chassis. Really great machine, V10 gasoline engine, got terrible gas mileage, but built like a tank, Quigley 4x4 lifted. The problem was I was too tall to fit inside. I was constantly hitting my head, and we needed something with a little bit more space. Hey, if you're joining us, my name's Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. You're watching a shakedown and a summary and a tour, a full tour of the Earth Cruiser expedition truck. We're parked off-grid in Alaska. I've been living off-grid in Alaska for the last several months out of this rig. And it's been a fantastic experience, but not perfect, of course. The bed is extremely comfortable. I have no problems with it at all. The space itself is very roomy for what it is. Everything's extremely functional, high quality, comfortable. I don't love this cassette toilet. I think that's a cassette toilet design issue rather than, you know, a toilet itself. It would be my choice. I'd prefer to have a something like an composting toilet in here to reduce the need for water. And you know, it's a cassette. The cassette holds whatever comes out of your body in this box until you're ready to dump it. And that means with a cassette toilet, you're still dealing with basically sewage, and it's pretty gross and it's annoying. And so my next step is to take the cassette toilet out of this expedition truck and put in something like a a composting toilet. So if you have any experience with composting toilets versus cassette toilets, please let me know. I can tell you I never want to go back to a black water system for sure. Um, this is an expedition rig. This is an expedition truck called an Earth Cruiser. If you're just joining us, my name is Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. I'm parked off grid in Alaska, and I'm sharing with you the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, and the loves and the hates of this new expedition truck that we bought, my wife and I bought this spring. And I've been traveling in it off grid and living in it full time for several months now. And so we're wrapping up the interior review of this rig, and we'll go outside. I'm still waiting for the folks that completely invaded our space this morning to maybe they'll leave and move on. Maybe if I spare some bear spray, the wind will carry it over there and they'll leave. That would be kind of mean, wouldn't it? I guess we'll just try to enjoy our peppermint tea while we're at it. Show you something, a little trick that my wife taught me about tea and tea bags. She bought this little thing for me. And what it does is when you're ready to take the tea bags out, you don't just take them out and throw them away. You squeeze them first, like that. And that gets the maximum amount of flavor and tea-ness, I guess. Is tea-ness a word? And then you throw them away. Sure, love. No problem. I think I need a spoon. Camping spork, one of my favorites. Keeps my... If you're just joining us, my name is Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. We are doing a shakedown and a tour of our new expedition truck called an Earth Cruiser. That's too hot. I should wait a few minutes before I drink that. Let's continue our conversation about what we love and don't love about this rig. If I can set this up for you. The interior of this is one of the best builds I've seen. Very basic, but very comfortable and very cozy. I'm extremely pleased with it. If you can see, there's no wood inside this rig. There's no fancy skylights. There's not a whole bunch of fancy lighting system. It's pretty basic in here, but it definitely serves my need. It's also insulated very well. It's basically a giant insulated cooler, like kind of built like a Yeti cooler, if you will. And it keeps me quite warm. And we will find out this winter when it's -30 in Alaska how we do inside here. And I expect it should do very well. I don't see the shower to be very useful. It's unnecessary, but it does serve well for a like a mudroom type space to hang wet things and keep muddy things. Keep the dirt out there, cleanliness in here. So I'm pretty happy about that. The pass-through is functional. It's the pass-through right there behind me, that gray curtain. It keeps things in. That's an insulated curtain. It keeps things insulated. I don't care to crawl in and out of there, but my wife does. My wife likes it. Now let's talk about the chassis. After we talk about it, I'll take you outside and share with you what I love and don't love about the chassis of the Mitsubishi Fuso chassis, to be specific. This is an Earth Cruiser built in Bend, Oregon on the Mitsubishi Fuso Canter 4-wheel drive system. It's pretty basic. 180 horsepower diesel engine is underpowered for this 13,000-pound rig. That's my biggest frustration right now, my biggest disappointment. There's no doubt it's of quality. It's built in Japan. Engine is famously reliable, great. It's a typical modern diesel with diesel exhaust fluid problems, and we're constantly having check engine lights and issues with the DEF system. So that's not something we love. It has 35-inch tires on it, old-fashioned 4-wheel drive system where you have to get out and lock the hubs. Cool. The cab sits high like you're on a like a Class A RV. That's fantastic. We love that. really, really great view of these panoramic views of this beautiful place. I gotta take the lid off of this coffee cup. I can't drink my tea, it's too hot. Gotta wait a few minutes. It's really hot. I'm just burnt my tongue. It's not exactly fast. The Earth Cruiser is built on this Mitsubishi Fuso chassis. It's not exactly fast, it's pretty slow actually, but I'm not in a hurry anyway. It'll cruise at 55 and 60 miles an hour down straight highways with no problem. And that's not an issue. We do have problems when the hills get even moderately steep. This thing loses power and loses momentum pretty quickly. And so that we've been frustrated about. And I don't think there's a solution for that. There's only so much you can do with such a heavy rig like this. And so I'm so glad you're with us. We're at 30 minutes into this live stream. And my name is Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. And we're doing a full tour and a critique of this Earth Cruiser expedition truck. Here in the backcountry of Alaska. I'm off-grid streaming this live from Starlink. I'm glad. Bill, thank you for joining us finally. It's about time you show up, do your job. Mr. Bill from My Alaska is one of my neighbors out in the area of Alaska where we live. Bill shows up in the channel to help me make sure things are going well. Thank you, Bill. The inside of this rig is built very well. We're quite happy with the inside. If I could change anything, I would put a better refrigerator in this thing that had a bigger freezer. That's one of the biggest things I think I would change about the interiors. I'd put a bigger freezer in here. The other thing I would change is I would take out this Webasto heater, combination heater hot water system. Not something I love at all. Those things need to be separate. Your hot water heater and your hot air heater needs to be a completely separate unit. When one goes out, they both go out in this design, and it's not fun. And in case, actually, if you want to make this a true expedition rig with redundant systems, put a second heater in here, a second diesel heater. Yeah, that's the last thing I need, Bill, is more ice cream in my life. Can you tell? I definitely need to stop eating the ice cream before my wife gets a hold of me. So that's the biggest, I think the biggest beef for the inside of this thing that I would change is that, the heater system. And so I think what I will do is I'm going to find a way to put an Eberspacher diesel burning heater in here just for air heat. And so that means I'll have two. If my Webasto combo system fails, then I'll have a backup system in here. And I guess a backup to a backup system in this expedition truck, if you're traveling around at -30 Fahrenheit, would be something like a little electric space heater for emergencies, and you could get out the generator and run the generator. A space heater draws something like between 700 and 1500 amps, and it will draw down your house batteries pretty quickly. I think the other thing I would do with this is an upgrade with the batteries. It's a very high quality system, but 450 amp hours of lithium phosphate type batteries is not enough for what I want to do. I need at least 3 days off grid with this thing running Starlink full time, running a heater at night for the fan, and running the refrigerator. And that's about all we run, by the way. But even that takes quite a bit of power, and I'm having to run a generator every other day right now. So I'm kind of hoping my neighbors, the folks that rolled up on me and kind of completely violated my privacy this morning, will leave so we can go outside and talk about this rig. But maybe I'll just not worry about that. We'll go outside anyway. The challenge in a small expedition truck like this is keeping it clean. You've got to constantly obsess about organization in a expedition rig like this. You got to, everything needs its place. Everything's about efficiency and cleanliness. You've got to use wipes, keep things clean and sanitary in here, or it gets pretty funky really quickly. And I can tell you, this thing I expect will do really well this winter. It was 41 degrees this morning, by the way, here in Alaska, and I was really warm and comfortable in here. That's not a problem. I'm very excited to see how she does when it's negative, to see how well this habitat treats me. I think it's going to do very well. Hey, if you're just joining us, my name is Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. We're doing a full tour inside and out of the expedition truck made by Earth Cruiser. And we're just wrapping up the inside. I'm just sharing with you a few things that I love and don't love about the inside of this rig, and some of the things we're going to change. So to summarize, the things I would change in combo hot water heater and hot air system. Let's say that again. 2, the Webasto hot water heater and hot air system needs to be separated into separate units, or at least have a redundant system. What I think I'll do is add another heater in here. 3, get rid of that cassette toilet and put in a better toilet, like a composting toilet. And I think that's the big ones. And it's sprinkling outside again. Let's see if I can drink this without burning my lips. It's still too hot. Okay. Our favorite cup. Okay. Let's talk about this right here. Here's what we have. Here's a breakdown of the control panel. This is my battery system. I technically have 47% of my battery right now, and 5 amps of solar power coming in at the moment. I think there's 300 amps of solar power on the roof. This is your Victron inverter controller, charger controller. Notice there's no fancy screens here at all. Battery management system here. Webasto combination hot water heater, air heater. If I turn this unit all the way like that, that is for hot water and hot air. This is just for hot air. This is how we control the thermostat for the hot and cold air. That's just for hot water in the summer, 2 modes for hot water. Down here is a frost protection system. The sensors sense when it gets below freezing, and it will kick on heat in here to try to keep you from freezing your pipes. And back over here, if you hold this down, this will dump the hot water tank and the hot water that's in it for winterization. This is for the cooktop right here. This is for this cooktop that is diesel fired. I would not do that again, although it works very well. What else is there? Let's have a look at this shower space again. Down there is the toilet. It's a Thetford, pretty standard. It's very good quality. It comes in and out on a switch. So when I'm ready to dump the cassette toilet, I hit that switch and send things all the way in, and then I can pull the cassette and dump it in wherever a safe place to dump it is. And I'm not crazy about that. I would much rather be able to take a trash bag full of waste and compost out of a composting toilet and not deal with water and sewer and finding dump stations. It's really a hassle. These are our controls for various things: the stairs, the awning, and the lights. There's some lights in here. I'll show you how this works. Pretty slick there, really easy. I put this on Earth Cruiser. I needed a bigger trash can, so I put that there. It's not perfect, but it's about the best I can do right now. I've got limited space in here, and there's nowhere else to put the trash can, so I put it there, and it's a bit in the way when I'm going in and out, but we can manage it. All right, let's see. Are these people gone? No, they're still here. That's annoying. I'm going to put my shoes on, grab my tea. We're going to go outside, and I want you to come with me. If you'll tolerate a little bit of bumpiness as I take you outside, we'll start talking about the outside of this Earth Cruiser. If you're just joining us, my name's Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. It's a live stream and an honest review of this expedition truck living off-grid for the last several months. And I'd like to share with you, if you're interested in looking at something like this and buying something like this, we're here to help. Maybe we should spend a minute talking about why Living My Alaska. Dawn and I started Living My Alaska to inspire others to live this kind of life. We're here to tell you that if you're stuck in a traffic jam today, if you're unhappy with your surroundings, if you've got the golden handcuffs at an office cubicle right there, and your boss doesn't know your name and doesn't care, there's a better way to live your life, and you can do that. You can give it all up and leave and come to a place like Alaska. I'm not saying everybody should go live off grid in Alaska, but I'm saying you should certainly consider, if you're stuck in downtown Dallas today or some other place like that, there's got to be a spot in Texas that's less crowded and less traffic jam, less people, less noise, less pollution. and be willing to make the sacrifices to make that happen. You can't have it all, and that's our society seems to think that we can have everything all the time, and it certainly makes us believe that, but it's a lie. You can't be a marathon runner and a professional chef and a father of 6 and, you know, a supermodel and a billionaire. You just can't. You can't do all those things at once. So we decided, we accepted that fact a long time ago. There's only so many things we're going to do, and we gave up a lot to live this life in the backcountry of Alaska. We gave up our big paychecks and the security of our jobs, left it all behind, and I can tell you it's the best thing we've ever done, Dawn and I, for living this life. I wish she was here to tell you more. She will be in the future, by the way. All right, let me see what I can do, get my shoes on, and we will go outside. If this will not, I don't want it to fall over on you guys. Stay. All right, one more test, see if this will burn my tongue or not. Bill in My Alaska, if you're still with us, how are we doing? How's the quality of sound? How's the picture? One of the challenges of doing a live stream is the fact that you can't watch it and do it at the same time, at least not efficiently. And so I have no idea right now whether what you guys are watching on the other end is worth watching. I don't know if this, I hope the camera's stable. I hope the sound is good. We're good, Bill? Okay. Thanks. So that's one of the challenges of doing a live stream, is that it's very real. There's no editing. And you better have the gift of gab, as they say, if you're going to do live streams, because most people run out of things to talk about real quick, or as soon as they get on camera, they get goofy. I'm not saying I'm not goofy, but I love me some me, and that means I like to talk. And when you live in a kind of the backcountry of Alaska, you don't really have much other people to talk to, so you start talking to yourself. The problem is when yourself talks back, you got an issue. So, are those people gone yet? I pulled up here last night. It's a glorious spot. I left the other spot because people were crowding me. I was like, oh, this is a good spot. It's hidden behind the trees. Nobody's up here. They're going to leave me alone. And I've been alone up here until about an hour ago. As soon as I decided to go outside and start filming and talking to you guys, someone rolled up in a pickup truck, parked right next to me, got out right in front of me, and started picking berries right in front of my camper here. I'm like, you got all of Alaska. Go down the road. I'm willing to bet they're not Alaskan. Okay, let's see if we can get my tea outside, and then I'll come get you. I'll be right back. It's so quiet out here and so pretty. We got rain today. We got quite a bit of rain, as you can see in the distance. Rain surrounding us. It's sunshiny a little bit, and then it rains a little bit, and then it's sunshine a little bit, and it rains a little bit, and it's back and forth that way. Hey, this is the Earth Cruiser. This is the Mitsubishi Fuso Canter 4x4 chassis. 180 horsepower diesel, turbo diesel, 4-wheel drive from the factory, 35-inch tires not from the factory, 16-inch wheels not from the factory. Converted to a super single on the rear. Super single means it comes normally with dually tires on the back of this. It's 2 tires in the back on each side, and we convert that to super single to make it better off-road. It's going to start pouring down rain on me right now. I'm going to have to go inside. This is great. Oh, this is the joys of filming in Alaska. If I ever start another YouTube channel, I think I'm going to do one where I can sit at my desk and not deal with this. But this is what keeps other people from doing this, right, Bill? We might have to go inside. I'll be right back. Let me get my rain jacket. rain jacket and rubber boots. 2 mandatory things for all of Alaska. That's your survival kit. That's all you need. Even have a beanie cap. In the middle of summer, you might need an insulated cap out here. And as long as my iPhone survives the rain, we should be just fine. So let's talk about the Mitsubishi Fuso. Why the Mitsubishi Fuso? The overall length of this rig is approximately 23 feet long, which is brilliant, right? Let me quantify that for you. That means it's about the length of a long wheelbase pickup truck. That means you can park it in regular parking spots. You can fit it on the ferry with not too much fuss. It'll get around tight spots. And for such a big RV with that much room inside, that's a big deal. 10.5 feet tall, 13,000 pounds. She's heavy. And there's no way around that. It's slow. As much as we love, there are things I love. That big cab sitting high up with that huge windshield, absolutely love it. The view from up there is amazing. The trade-off is it's noisy because you're sitting on top of the engine. That big windshield gives you the panoramic view that you really want in a place like Alaska. The trade-off is that big windshield is a magnet for rocks. And I've already spent $700 this year on a new windshield. I think my visitors are leaving shortly. Of course, now that it's raining. So that's some of the unique features of the Mitsubishi Fuso. Why the Fuso? Factory four-wheel drive, that's another thing. No fancy aftermarket four-wheel drive systems. Mitsubishi has sent these trucks around the world, I think, since the early 2000s, maybe even older than that. They're actually the late 90s. They're famous for trucks for reliability and quality. They're not exactly famous for speed and power. And so that's one of the problems I'm having right now that I'm really struggling with, is it really struggles turning the wheels in sand, and it really struggles climbing hills. And so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this freaking rain. It stinks, man. I'm doing a live stream in the rain. It's kind of absurd. If you're just joining us, my name is Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. This is my expedition truck, Mitsubishi Fuso, Earth Cruiser. And I'm standing in the rain doing a live stream because it's Alaska, and that's just what happens. Is you can never predict the weather. It's terrible. Like, this is the heaviest rain I've had since I've been on this trip. And it's got to start now. How irritating. Here, I'll show you up close. Check out the front of this truck. Look at that bumper. That's a beast of a bumper. In Texas and Louisiana, we would call that a cow catcher. Up here, I guess you could call it a moose catcher. I'm gonna have to put my hood on. No, that's what's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna stand out here and refuse to move until it stops. Big heavy-duty aluminum bumper. Quality build. 17,000 pound Warren winch. I put this on myself. It's a high lift, high low jack. They're famously reliable, but also famously dangerous to use. So I use it sparingly. These things are not for cosmetics. This is known to keep branches and twigs out of your windshield when you go down a brushy trail. And that's what these are for, and it's a really smart design. Besides, I think it looks really cool. Moose light on the front, that's what they call them here in Alaska. It's a big bright light. There's a whole bunch of more on the roof. It's dark in Alaska. One of the things I've learned about living in this state is, unlike other places where there's cities and towns around, there's always some sort of light. In a place like this in the backcountry, when it gets dark, folks, it is dark. It's the kind of dark that you can almost feel and taste. I mean, it's black. And having these big lights is a real confidence booster. Maybe it's going to stop raining a little bit. Tires and wheels. Geolander, Yokohama, 35-inch tires, I believe. I can tell you the size. .315/75/16 is the tire size. 16-inch wheel is kind of an old dog. 16-inch wheels are pretty little, you know, to now. I mean, stylish, trendy wheels today are, what, 20 inches? There's value to a 16-inch wheel. The smaller the wheel, the more rubber you can put between you and the road. And that's a really big advantage when you're rolling in a truck like this. It's not exactly known for being comfortable. And so those big, beefy tires, air and rubber, and a lot of space there really helps when you're riding. It's like an extra set of shock absorbers and a cushion. And we're examining my Mitsubishi Fuso Earth Cruiser with Living My Alaska today. And I'm standing in the rain off-grid in Alaska. It wasn't supposed to rain today. Weatherman said it would be sunny. But we're going to do it anyway. As long as you guys are here, we're going to keep talking or until we run out of battery. We're operating off Starlink. There's no cell service out here. Mr. Bo Benoit down in Cajun country in South Louisiana on the Crawfish and Rice Farm has just joined us. Bo is an aspiring YouTuber. He is the middle son of one of my younger sisters. Really cute kid. I'm so glad he looks like me. And I think he's smart like me too, because he's going to be a YouTuber. What else is there? I'm glad you're here, Bo. Let me know if you can hear us okay. We're trying to do this again. This is the backcountry of Alaska. We are, to give you an example, this is the Denali Highway. We are approximately, Denali Highway is approximately 134, 135 miles long, most of it gravel, famously rough potholes, famously remote, and famously beautiful. If this was a sunny day, you'd see what I'm talking about. Behind me right there is the Alaska Range, and it's gorgeous. But it's peaceful, a lot of fresh air, fantastic freshwater fishing, wildlife, scenery, bears, caribou, moose. Okay, good. Yes, that's right. My name is Bennett. My proper name is Bennett, but the family called me Benny, B-E-N-N-Y, as a kid. And the problem is when I left South Louisiana and had to make it in the real world, people would say, what is your name? Is it Benny? Is it Bennett? Is it Benjamin? And so I finally just said, all right, I'm going to have to start calling myself Bennett so I don't have to call myself 5 other names on every time I have to fill out an application for something. So my proper name is Bennett. I was named after my grandfather. His name was Benoit, B-E-N-O-T, B-E-N-O-I-T, Benoit Johnson. And I was named after him. Bo, you might not have known that. You didn't know Papa Benoit. He was dead long before you. I think I was your age when he passed away. That was a long time ago. They spoke French. So Benoit is a Cajun French name. Same as Bo's last name, Bo Benoit. Yeah. If my people left, I don't know. All right, let's move down the side of this truck. I'll show you more. So the suspension on this truck is old style. Beefy suspension, leaf springs, and upgraded external reservoir shocks. Right there is how you lift the cab of this truck to service it. You're not going to change the oil under the hood of this thing. This whole cab has to lift up right here. It goes this way. Right here is the pass-through, right there. And this thing gets without the pass-through, without these fancy seats, this truck would be a lot lighter to lift this cab. I've seen people on TV, little tiny Japanese men, grab this with one arm and throw the big giant cab forward. You can get to the engine. It's a dream to work on because the old engine is right there. The problem is, because we have this pass-through and we have these fancy seats, one man cannot lift this. So it takes 2 men to lift this cab forward to work on this engine. Hopefully I never have to work on it in the bush out here. And it's still raining. Like, I've been waiting all day to do this live stream, and the sun's been beautiful all day. Had rainbows out here earlier, and this is a cold rain, guys. It's like 45 degrees outside right now, maybe 48 to be fair. And dang it, this is annoying, but we're doing it. We're doing it anyway. It's live. This is it. YouTube wants real. This is real, YouTube. You got it right here. All right. So down here is where we put the diesel in the truck. If we pull this right here, we dump our gray water. What's gray water? Gray water is your sink and your shower. So basically, you know, soapy water. If you scrub your dishes, that goes down into the gray water tank, and that's pretty. And it's usually biodegradable, especially if you use biodegradable soap. You can dump that just about anywhere because it's nice, clean water. And so that's how that works. I had a problem this year with these wheels, and I want to tell you about it. These wheels, when we bought this truck in Alabama, we drove it. We drove it 5,000 miles home, took us 6 weeks through all the way back to Alaska. The problem we had is, right away we had a vibration. And we never could figure that out. We stopped at one tire shop in Alabama. They said, oh, you need new tires. Of course I need new tires. It's a tire shop. They put me 4 new tires. I didn't need new tires, but fine. They said, that'll solve the problem. And I asked him specifically, will this solve my vibration? He says, oh yeah, it's going to solve the vibration. It didn't. So we kept on rolling. We get to another shop. It's a big rig shop. And I tell them, I've got this vibration. Can you please balance these tires? Well, they said, oh yeah, our machine's better. We'll balance them for you. Well, I believe they're the ones that snapped a whole bunch of my wheel lugs and caused me some big problems and put me in danger. So we're rolling on, and we discover that we have several broken wheel lugs. That's the lugs that stick out where you mount the wheel. And we limped into Springfield, Missouri like that. And we were stranded in Springfield for a week while they ordered parts, figured out what was happening, and repaired it. And they said, yep, we've rebalanced these tires. We're going to get you on the road. This should be better. Well, guess what? We rolled out of Springfield, heading across Kansas, still vibrating. Really frustrating. After 6 hours on the road doing this, it's exhausting. And I'm also concerned. I'm wondering what kind of damage this is going to do to my truck. And so I didn't like it at all. Fast forward 3 weeks later, we're still driving. We drove all the way back to Alaska with that vibration. I got to Alaska. I go to another tire shop. They say, you need new tires. I'm like, of course I need new tires. Of course, you're a tire shop. So I say, fine. We put another set of new tires on. Guess what? Still vibrating. So I finally called up a shop in a small town called Big Black Rubber. Funny name, serious people. Just a greasy little shop, right? A couple of mechanics in the back, nothing fancy. And they balanced the tires again. We still had the problem. I brought it right back in. He got in the truck with me. He saw the problem. When we got back to the place, he starts digging around in this metal bin of the scrap metal, and he pulls out some different types of lug nuts. And the whole problem was because of the lug nuts that came with these fancy aftermarket wheels were not centering the wheels properly. And so as soon as he put these extra lug nuts of a different type on these wheels, our problems went away. And that is absolutely insane to me. That's what, 4 different tire shops sold me $4,000 worth of 2 sets of tires. And all it was a lug nut. All the way around, 2 lug nuts on the factory type lug nuts, all the way around on this rig. That solved the vibration. Can you tell I'm frustrated? And it's really wonderful doing this in the rain, by the way. They didn't leave. They're right there. I call them my space invaders. My space invaders didn't leave. They're right there. They're just sitting in the truck waiting out the rain. Let's talk more about this rig. The more of the rig, the back of the rig looks like this. Uh-oh. Oh, you gotta love YouTube. And just the camera tripod just fell over into the rocks and the mud. iPhones work really well when you drag them through the mud and let them get rained on. All right, we're gonna hold this in my hand from now, and I'm gonna have to put down, see right here? In the dirt. In the dirt, it will stay. We're gonna do this one-handed. Good times. Pull this, gray water comes out of there. This is the exhaust for the hot water heater. See anything different about these lug nuts? Alex Rim's fancy lug nuts, factory lug nuts. 2 of these solved this problem all the way around. These things open like this. This is what's in my my dry bay here. Storage. I've got some wet boots. I've been fishing, little fishing rod, a whole bunch of fishing rods in there. I'm headed to Seward to do some fishing pretty soon, and then over to Valdez to do some silver salmon fishing. So my gear is in there. That is a Yeti brand folding chair, and I have my lug wrench back in there and a fishing net. This rubber seal, in theory, keeps all of the mess out. Yeah, Bill, right. This is how we direct water to the 2 tanks. And you know what? It's damn cold out here right now. I think we're gonna have to go back inside for a while. It's freezing. It's like it's probably 37. It's probably dropped with this wind. Now we've got a wind. It's probably dropped to the mid 30s out here. And Bill, you probably did this to me. This is your fault. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get inside the cab. Oh shoot, it's locked. Good day, good day. All right, hey, come with me. Let's go inside. We're gonna unlock. I'll show you the inside of the cab. Oop, wrong keys. So you're going to find something interesting here. It's quite a challenge to get up into this rig. It's not easy. See how tall this thing is? I'm about 6'1", and 2 steps, grab, jump in before you slide out. Really challenging to do one-handed, but we're going to do it anyway. All right, let's get up in there. Oh. Soaking wet. Now my seat's going to be soaked. Oh. All right. If you're just joining us, my name's Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. And I'm trying to do a live stream to share with you the beautiful backcountry of Alaska, boondocking, and our new Earth Cruiser Expedition truck. And it's been beautiful for days. But as soon as I start shooting this video today, I had some people encroach on my private space here. And now it's pouring down rain. Let's crank the truck. Let's make it look, they're out there in the rain. Check it out. Yeah, now they're gonna leave, I bet. Let's crank this booger. There we go. Well, that's a good sign. No check engine lights. So what we have is a very basic Mitsubishi Fuso interior cab. That's your DEF system, lovely diesel exhaust fluid, never good. Tachometer, basic old analog speedometer, fuel gauge, and a whole bunch of stuff right there. That right there will charge the house batteries while we're running the main engine. This is door locks, and that is for my air pump. Over here, that is the four-wheel drive system. You press that, and then you get outside and you lock the hubs. That is something we never use. That's eco, and that means the engine slows down, and we need all the power we can get, so we never use that. Very basic gauges here, as you can see. Analog, turn, love it. That's cruise control right there. CB radio we never use. Backup camera. Very old technology. I know they make way better backup cameras than this. I wish we had a better one. Maybe eventually we will replace that camera. So this is the inside of the Mitsubishi Fuso. Of course, we have Garmin screen, and this is where I hold the phone. Welcome to the inside. This is where we spend a lot of time, and we enjoy it. Right here is the pass-through. You can roll that up, you can crawl through. Had a bit of an incident in this rig a couple days ago. We pulled into some sand. Sand wasn't that deep, it was only maybe 4 inches deep. But the rig sunk into the sand and would not move. And to my frustration, I was stranded out here. I was stuck. And I was really worried about that. The rig seemed to lack the power to spin the tires to get me out of this situation. I wasn't really that stuck, and I was really frustrated about it. And I'm gonna have to do something about that. Hey Bill, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. If you're just joining us, my name is Bennett. This is Living My Alaska. I'm doing a live stream, sharing you the inside and the out of our new expedition truck called a Mitsubishi Fuso Earth Cruiser. and we're stuck in the middle of the rainstorm. I was planning on walking around the outside of this rig to share with you what it looks like. And to my frustration and my luck, it started pouring down rain just as I started the live stream. So we had to get inside and rescue ourselves. And I'm hoping it changes. I'm hoping it goes away. Let's turn on some heat. And if I can put this down, we're going to have a talk. We're going to change subjects for just a moment. Let's see if we can do this just like this. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Why did we start Living My Alaska? We started Living My Alaska, the YouTube channel, to reach out to people across the country, young men especially, that are confused about where they are in life. You're likely somewhere between 35 and 55 years old, and you're not too happy with the life choices you've made. Maybe you did it their way. Maybe you got your college degree, went to work, put on a tie, smiled, did the corporate thing, let them lie to you that you had a future when they knew you didn't. And you're discovering it's not turning out well. Maybe you're in the suburb or some godforsaken city and you're wondering what else is out there. And I know that because I was once that guy. We didn't always live in the backcountry of Alaska. We certainly didn't live this kind of wild life, but I always wanted to. This is the way I was raised in South Louisiana, but some unfortunate circumstances happened to my family, and I got ripped out of that lifestyle and stuck in the big city, and I had to make my way a different way. And all I wanted to do was make enough money to get back to the life and do it an opposite way. And ever since then, it's been the best thing I've ever done for my wife, my life, my health, and my marriage. And so I'm here to tell you that if you are stuck in a traffic jam today or in a cubicle, you got a boss that doesn't appreciate you and you don't appreciate him, the truth is, it is you. It is. But not in the way you think. There's nothing wrong with you. It's likely you're just in the wrong spot, and this is not what God has planned for you. I did a lot of praying over the years, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of rosaries said. I'm Catholic. And if you don't like that, that's your problem. It took a lot of years to get the faith and the courage to understand that I need to do things differently. And that is how we ended up in Alaska. My beautiful wife. The story is we were living and working in the beautiful Swiss Alps in a town called Davos, way up in the Swiss Alps, very luxurious place, first-class plane tickets around the world for first-class resorts, six-figure paycheck, getting paid very well, very prestigious job. And I was miserable, never been more unhappy, couldn't figure out why, figured there was something wrong with me, had a bad attitude, crappy work ethic. None of that was true. It's not where God wanted me. And God gave me 20 years to figure it out, keep hitting my head against the wall until I figured it out. And he just waited for me to come back and accept the realities of that. That's not what I was built to do. So I came home from one of these transatlantic flights, recovery from jet lag. My wife looked at me and said, I don't care what you do, I just don't want you to be happy. I just want you to be happy. And that's the best thing. It's just I'm blessed with a world-class mind. And so my wife gave me permission to walk away from my career. And I tell people, we committed career suicide to live this life in Alaska. And that's the truth. So we went from 5-star resorts, first-class plane tickets, to living in a one-bedroom apartment, shopping at the Goodwill and the Salvation Army. And that's how we rebuilt our lives at age 38 and age 39 years old. And I looked in the mirror every day and said, my God, what have I done? What have I done? We are reaching our prime yearning years, and I've just destroyed my career. My mentor in Switzerland looked at me and said, Bennett, if you do this, you will be committing career suicide. I said, yes, sir, that's exactly right. That's exactly. He said, don't burn the bridges. I said, I have to. I have to. If I don't burn the bridges, I'll want to come back when things get hard. He never spoke to me again. And that's been a long time ago. And that's on him. So we committed career suicide and moved to Alaska, to the backcountry. My wife says there's nothing mild when you live this wild. We call it a wild life in the great land, and we mean it. It's a very, very different kind of life. It's never easy. It's always a little challenging out here, always a little dangerous in the backcountry of Alaska. Unless you want to live in the city and watch TV all day, you can do that anywhere. You may as well just go do that somewhere sunny in South Florida. The weather in Alaska seems to be my biggest challenge. Like right now, I'm supposed to be outside filming a live stream for you guys, showing you the outside of this rig and the inside. Instead, we're inside the cab of the truck talking because I'm waiting for the rainstorm to pass. That is cold, wet rain. iPhone's not going to do too good in that rain. So I'm waiting for the rain to stop, and I'll show you the outside of the rig. We did a good job showing you the inside. So anyway, that's how we ended up in Alaska. And that was well over a decade ago. And by the way, we're not on beans and rice anymore. This rig costs several $100,000. And we're not starving anymore. We've been blessed. But to each, much is given, much is expected. And we know that. And our prayer every day is, use us, Lord. Use us, O Lord. Show us the path that you have for us. Tell us how to serve you. When I prayed, what I'm amazed is, especially a lot of megachurch Christians and new Christians treat Jesus and the crucifixion as if it's a buffet, it's a request, as if Jesus is some kind of a glorified butler. This is what I want, you give it to me. If I do these things for you, you'll do this for me. Well, let's be clear. Jesus owes you nothing. Jesus owes none of us anything. We owe it all to him. And so that means when I pray, I start with giving thanks. Thanks for this amazing place I get to live. Thanks for this rain we're having right now. Thanks for these opportunities to talk with you. And then I ask Jesus to simply tell me how I can serve him. And that's my prayer every day in my life. And sometimes I fall short. Actually, every day I fall short of that. But we still do it, and we're not going to give up. Just like YouTube, we're not going to give up. If you're just joining us, this is Living My Alaska. My name is Bennett. Technically, we're doing a full review of the Earth Cruiser, the expedition truck, but we've just been rained out. We were in the middle of walking around the outside of the rig, sharing with you what it looks like, what it's about, what we love and don't love. Oh, finally, my Space Invaders are leaving, and they have an Alaska tag. I call them Space Invaders because I've been sitting here for 2 days with nobody up here, just me, really enjoying myself. Huge place out here. They can go anywhere. 2 folks pulled up, rolled up right next to the rig earlier, parked, got out, started picking berries right in front of my camp spot here. Totally ignored the fact that I'm speaking into a camera while they're doing it. And I'm just fascinated by that. And I'm not really upset about it. It just fascinates me. Like if I rolled up and saw some guy parked here, immediately I would just turn around and leave. But I'm glad they're leaving because it's raining. And so maybe we'll get some privacy to finish our outside tour of this rig in just a moment. Let me check. Yep. All right, rain's gone. We're going to shut this machine off. We'll go outside, and I want to take you around the outside of the rig. I keep calling it a rig. That's probably not. I named it Nanook, N-A-N-U-K. Nanook is something like the king of bears here in Alaska. It's kind of a mythical creature. Dawn doesn't like that name. If you have a better name, if you guys have a better name, anybody out there watching this, please let me know. I'd love to know what you would name this expedition truck. Okay, let's go outside. Give me just a second. Oh, don't miss the step. Okay. Oh. It's still raining, but we're going to do it anyway. The back side of this rig looks like this. Max Trax, never leave home without them. It's a big insurance policy. Max Trax Extreme to be exact. Why are they orange? Well, I love orange. I think orange looks cool, but it's more than about just being cool. You can see these things when they get buried in the mud and the snow after you've used them. It's one of the best things I've ever done is use Max Trax. I really like them. That's a Demos shovel, DMOS. It's a little sand shovel to dig out your tires. Up there is our recovery kit. We have a tow strap and some other recovery stuff in there for when we get stuck. And of course, that's just a simple gas can for my generator. This is my stuff to go fishing in Valdez, all of my fishing gear. And this is a freezer, and it's an electric freezer made by Dometic. And that's how we're going to keep our fish frozen and fresh once we get catching salmon in Valdez. This is on a Yakima swing out system. I can't remember the name of this thing, but this whole thing swings out so I can get access to what's in there. What's in there? That is my generator that's in there. Earth Cruiser spare tire. Earth Cruiser was really smart. They put lights up there, down here and up there. As you can see, I've got so much crap back here that you can't really see the lights. Lights up there are really smart. Starlink is up there. There's a reason I put that Starlink up there. I didn't poke holes in my ceiling. I didn't want to do that. I just ran the line down the back, and inside there's a hole under there that's safe to go run lines in. And so when Starlink introduces its next latest and greatest product, I can tear that one off in about 5 minutes and put the new one on. Another storage compartment here, nothing special, but something unique about this one is it folds down like this. And I really like that. And so this turns into a work table for eating, preparing your dinner, or working on tools, or preparing your fishing lines. Really like that. Seals really good. Cassette toilet. Notice how these steps come out and in when you open the door. Really smart. I'm going to shut this door because the mosquitoes. And that, my folks, is the Earth Cruiser, built on the Mitsubishi Fuso chassis. Earth Cruiser. Bend, Oregon. You can find them online. We've owned this truck for just a few months. It's been a mixed bag, mostly really great. The habitat is amazing. Absolutely love it. The chassis, I have mixed reviews. Mainly the lack of power from that 180 horsepower. And that's not an Earth Cruiser problem, that's a Mitsubishi problem. And other than that, it's been a really great unit. This thing is brilliantly built, fantastic people, very helpful. Every time I reach out to Clive Watson in Bend, Oregon, he is always there to help me, and I really appreciate that. So anyway, I'm so glad you guys got to join us. We have so many more of these videos coming. Check out this next video right now. Let's go.